2022 high school football season, Duncanville and Highland Park. Duncanville 0-2 on the year, Highland Park 2-0. But the Scots have not played the type of football they hope to later in the year. The big question is, can the Scots, who pride themselves on not getting gunned up too early in the season, have enough momentum to carry them through against Duncanville tonight and avoid the upset? Do they look forward to Mesquite next week and overlook Duncanville this week? That's the story for the third week.
The Frank Bevers Show, a weekly look at the activities and game highlights of the Highland Park Scots, with head coach Frank Bevers and Eddie Clinton. Brought to you by Abio Adlita Realtors, Lincoln Property, Sparkman Hillcrest, Sharp Hardware, J.P. Summers Incorporated Construction and Home Building, Hank Dickerson and Company Realtors, and Murray Savings. Murray Savings was the first in Dallas to introduce an interest-earning checking account. Make Murray Savings part of your financial game plan.
Well, this is a fine howdy-do. The guys are out there getting ready to play Duncanville, and what is the story with you?
I don't know. I wish I knew. All I want to be is get out of this place very quickly.
Give me an explanation of your problem, if you can, here.
I think they call it diverticulitis and some sort of intestinal infection that's creating a problem right now.
What goes through your mind now? This is the first game you've missed. What's going through your mind? This is game day, and your clock usually says it's time to play a football game.
Well, first of all, it's very frustrating. You'd like to be back to where you naturally make a living doing, and to be sitting here and just kind of spinning your wheels and wasting time, well, it's very frustrating.
Have you kept in touch with the coaching staff this week?
Yeah, the whole coaching staff of Dallas they were all called in and giving me a bad time this week, but it was really great to hear from them.
You know, hospitals are really a boring place, aren't they?
Yeah, you never miss the water to the well.
Hi, Frank. Guess what, Frank? You get a singing telegram from Eastern Onion. How's that?
That's great.
Good. I'm glad you're thrilled, Frank. I knew it was you when I saw that oh God, not me look on your face, right? Well, Frank, this is what we call a participation telegram, okay? Now, I heard, Frank, that you had a pointed little head. So I brought you this pointed little hat to put on. Okay, there you go.
That's just what I always wanted.
That, Frank, that is so debonair. You ought to wear that all the time. Now, Frank, I also heard what a real little toot you are, so I brought you this little tooter. Okay, now, Frank, I want you to take this party blower, and I want you to put it in your mouth, all right? Now, that's located on your face, just beneath your nose, and the little white part goes in your mouth, okay? Good, there you go. Now, take your blower, wrap your lips around it. Now, blow. That's it, you got it. That's wonderful, Frank. You have tooted before, haven't you? I know a tutor when I see one. That was marvelous. Now, let me introduce you, Frank, to my pal and assistant here, Chico. Chico, you might remember from the I Love Lucy show. He used to play in Ricky Ricardo's band.
Yep.
But Chico likes to drink a little, and Ricky kicked him out. I found him on the streets, and he's been with me ever since. Say hello to Frank there, Chico. Okay, Chico. Now, Frank, look. You don't want to get too close to Chico, okay? Now, Frank, as you know, this is a singing telegram, right? Which means that at this point, I'm now obliged to sing you this really stupid little song. Now, Frank, I didn't make up the words. I only sing it. It's quite debatable, okay? They don't pay me for my voice, Frank. It's the tape. Okay? All right. Here goes. Hope you're smiling with that long tube up your nose. Hope you're laughing when your bedpan overflows. And there's just one thing that I want to say. That's that we hope you're feeling better today, and hope you're smiling, hope you're laughing, and that you'll get well soon. Now, Frank, this nasty little prank was sent to you from the cast and crew of the Frank Bevers Show.
Oh,
they friends of yours?
Slightly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I want you to now look, Frank, listen. Oh, thank you. Frank, look. I don't want you to worry at all about the Duncanville game tonight, okay? I'm going to go over and give the boys a pep talk.
Thanks.
And if that doesn't work, I can always distract the other team. Okay? You get well soon, Frank. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, y'all.
Thanks. Oh, mercy. I didn't expect that.
I thought you said hospitals were boring.
Ooh, it has been till now.
Be back on the job next week.
Yeah, I sure will after that.
Not a whole lot of suspense tonight. 51-7, Highland Park over Duncanville. And we've got one of the head coaches for a night, Don Richardson. I'll tell you, it's not a bad way to be a head coach. You might ought to just close it out right there.
I thought about that very seriously when I walked off. It was maybe my one and only chance. It felt good, but kids played well, you know, and they play well and they do things right. It makes everything easy for you. You don't have to struggle too long.
Yeah, but a lot of things came into play. You guys are not 51-7 better than Duncanville. They played, had some tough breaks. They played bad. And you guys played pretty well. I'm not saying that, but I thought all things had to be right for that to happen.
They come to the opening kickoff, and I saw 7 points sitting on that board awful quick. I think if the kid hadn't lost the ball, he might have scored because it was wide open. And, of course, when he lost it, and then it was down, what, 25, somewhere along in there, they kind of folded it up a little bit after that. They didn't play as inspired.
Now, the question we kept talking about during the ball game, who was calling the plays, and how did you guys decide? Did you draw straws or what? What did you do all ball game?
No, it was decided earlier in the week, you know, the day Frank got ill, that I would call most of the plays.
Good Lord, you're an offensive genius.
No. Some good kids. Randy helped quite a bit. You know, he helped me with the secondary, and that was very important there early. And as it went along, though, you kind of get a feel for what's going and what's not, and after that, it kind of took over and, you know, I had some help. You know, I didn't do it all now. I'd like to say I did.
Now, wait a minute. I was working up in the broadcast booth, and I had a hint that Emory was, especially when you started throwing the ball when you were up like 21-0, you kept throwing the ball. I said, this is Randy's one chance, and he's going to take a shot at it. Huh?
Well, I don't know. I think I started calling a lot of them in. I didn't want to get a chance to let them have opportunity to come back. You know, I wanted to get it out of the way quick. I told the kids when I got up 21, we wanted to try to get at least one more and hopefully 2 more before the half, because I didn't want to play them at all the second half if we could. And we couldn't get the ones I wanted, so they come back a second half. We wanted to get 35 points if we could before we put the younger kids in, and we couldn't. And the younger kids come in and stole the show. You know, they scored a couple of times themselves.
Now, being an offensive line coach, how hard was it for you to concentrate on the whole offense and at the same time keep control of the kids you work with every day?
Well, I do anyway, and I think a lot of times you get tunnel vision. You learn to look at just your people, you know, and you really do have to look at the whole perspective. I don't think I looked at the offensive line a time tonight. I'm honest. I kept looking at those backs when we didn't run the ball, you know. But I watched the offensive sets. I went in. I had some things I thought I could do, and I put some people in motion and watched them move around and figured out I could do something with them, you know. But it worked out well.
Is it true you're going to encourage Frank to take a couple of weeks off?
You won't keep him out of here. You knew he was here tonight. You know, you're not going to keep him out. I knew when early in the week that if there was any way possible he'd be here. If not, they'd hook up a phone system down somewhere. He would be involved somewhere. But I was glad to see him out there. Kids really appreciate him being there. Made him feel bad. Real good.
Well, why don't we put the highlights together, put a little music under it, and take a look at it?
Well, it looks like a big deal to me. I'd like to see it myself again.
When you live in the Park Cities, you come to expect the best of everything. You expect the best schools, the best shops, the best cars, the best houses. And you come to expect the best realtors. Call Avio and Adelita, because we're the best that you would expect Park Cities to offer.
The Sparkmans, Ben, Bill, and David, carry on a tradition of service to Dallas families spanning almost a century. And the funeral home bearing their name continues to build its reputation based on compassion, dedication, and professionalism. At Sparkman Hillcrest, you'll find complete services at one location. As you enter the Sparkman Hillcrest grounds, you'll recognize one of Dallas' most historic landmarks, the Hillcrest Mausoleum. Along with private family rooms, a new wing has been opened reflecting the same detail to quality material and craftsmanship found throughout, from the imported Italian marble to the beautifully detailed stained glass windows and mosaic murals. Or drive through the tree-lined Memorial Park, meticulously maintained year-round regardless of the season. The funeral home itself reflects the dignity people have come to associate with Sparkman Hillcrest. Sparkman Hillcrest, truly a Dallas tradition.
If it is true that Richard Tuma wants to take over the job as a cameraman when he gets out of high school, then it is also true that number 37, Rod Jones, wants to take over this position when he gets out of school. As a matter of fact, he asked for an audition, and we let him do some interviews. So here's Rod and his guest.
We're here after the Highland Park Scott victory, 51-7 of the Duncanville Donuts. We're here interviewing Monty Snyder and Henry Miller. Monty, how'd you feel after breaking away for about 55 yards in that touchdown?
I felt fast. I think that James Falk made a very aggressive block on the outside, and John Stonework made a very good pitch. Rod, how did you feel, before the game, before you went out? What was your mental preparation?
We weren't real intense before this game, and we weren't taking it very seriously. We went out on the field not thinking they were going to be very tough. Now back to Henry. Henry, you played a real good defensive game. Didn't get to stay in there long since the score ran up real fast, but how do you feel about Duncanville?
They were a little weak, I must admit, and second team came in and did a real fine job. Offense really rolled this week, and we were real happy about that. Kept us off the field a lot, and we were real fresh. Yeah.
Thank you, Henry. Well, this concludes our interview with Monty Snyder, Whiplash, and Henry Miller. Cut.
Dave, first of all, our first chance to talk to you since we didn't talk to you last year. Your impressions so far of the offensive unit you guys are playing with this year?
Well, we got a bunch of returning, just got 1 or 2 returning juniors and the returning seniors, and the juniors really picked up and kind of held the rope a little bit, but it took us a real long time to get it rolling, because an offensive line has to work as a team, and if just one person breaks down, then the whole play is shot, so you have to really keep it rolling down the field.
Talking to Coach Castelaw and Coach Richardson early in the year, they expected a lot out of you. They still do. Any pressure on you? How do you approach that?
Well, it started back in off season. They told me they wanted me to start, and they told me I had a choice. I could either work and make it easy on myself, or I could die in the process. But I think I worked really hard this summer, and in off season, and spring training went real well for me. And then I was playing strong tackle originally, and they moved me over to guard through Mesquite, because Mesquite's got these big 2 shades, and they did expect a lot out of me, and so I'm playing 2 positions now.
Talk about the first game when you came up on the varsity. You guys played Irving MacArthur. Things did not go well. What's turned it around since that time?
I think it's called working the linemen a lot. They really did work us a lot. They worked on blocking people if they like when you step one way and they stunt the opposite way, wheeling back and getting back on your block. And it took a lot of time, because MacArthur didn't have these awesome big linemen, as you could tell, and it was like going out there and blocking something that was like shock, you know, just real short. You couldn't catch them and stuff like that. It was really embarrassing, you know.
Against Duncanville, you guys had an easy time. How come?
We prepared a lot. I mean,
For Duncanville?
for Duncanville, yeah, they went over the defense because they run a lot of stunts, and you know, they bring a linebacker up in the gap, and he'll just stand in the gap and shoot right in, and so we had to prepare for that. And at first it was kind of confusing, but we went over it on the chalkboard a lot, and just got it straight in our heads what we had to do.
Now, here's your chance to tell it like it is. Coach Bevers was out. What effect did that have? You guys were fantastic on offense.
Well, oh God, that puts me in a spot.
Just get better, huh?
Yeah, really, get better soon for Mesquite for sure, because, you know, Coach Richardson did a good job of calling plays. He really did. But, you know, anyway, Coach Richardson runs all the blocking schemes on sidelines. As you notice, we come over on the bench and sit down, and we go over everything they're doing. And Coach Bevers, you know, usually just says, "Now, what do you want to run?" You know, and then you just kind of tell him, you know, what formation and where you want to run it. And he calls the plays. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to move the ball.
How was that again?
What do you want to run?
Shark, when I watched you last year on the JV, I said, I don't know who that guy is, but he's awfully courageous to play on the junior varsity, and I thought that would be the end of your career. Now you're on the varsity. How in the world do you do that?
Well, I don't know. JV wasn't really one of my better years. I didn't enjoy that much, and varsity is the ultimate goal. And you know, I just being my size, I always like to, you know, it's one, you can always impress them by doing things that, you know, really not supposed to be doing, and that's the way I did it.
You have to compensate. What do you do to compensate for your size?
Stay low. I don't hit anybody up in the numbers. I stay pretty low.
Talk about your defensive backfield. Wayne Johnson has said that you guys are 6, 7, 8 deep back there. A lot of talent.
Coach Johnson's great. We've got a lot of depth. And mainly it's attributed to the off season, because we work so hard in the off season. You know, all those linebackers go upstairs and lift weights, and they think theirs is really tough. Well, they don't see us doing, you know, hours of back pedal out there. You know, we just do that forever. And we're just like 9 men deep. Chuck Hutchinson's great, and Glenn Evans is great. Brian Miller, David Vogel, Gig Reeves, Michael Lane, Tom Harrington. You know, and well, we've got sophomore spot Brandon Evans. He's gonna be great. He's a big man.
Talk about the season thus far. You started off slow. You came on well against Sherman. You had a great game against Duncanville. Where did you guys turn it around, or was that by design that you start that slow?
Well, coaches had always been telling us how, you know, we had so much potential, and we kind of went in the MacArthur game going, you know, we're going to be great. We don't have to work to do this. And all of a sudden, you know, we almost lose that game. That the offense, you know, we won, but we really didn't win. But that woke us up. And I'm pretty glad that we, you know, came that close to that first game, because it's better to happen the first game, you know, and wake us up. And then you saw what we could do tonight, the monster is awakened.
Let's talk about Mesquite. You have any thoughts on them a week before the game?
Well, we've already been going over Mesquite plays. We really only spent a day on Duncanville, and they're going to be tough. We're going to be ready for them, though. We got up for, you know, everybody thinks we got up for Sherman. We just wait till we see what we get up for Mesquite.
So what do you look for against Mesquite?
Well, for one thing, their size. They're supposed to be bigger than we are, which is hard to believe, because we're huge, you know.
That's not hard to believe for you.
Well, besides me. I'm talking about our offensive line. But they're supposed to be good and quick, and, you know, a lot of papers picked them before us. And, you know, this could be, whoever wins that game is going to be in the driver's seat for district.
The Shark, where did that come from?
I really don't know. I've always wondered that. I wish somebody would tell me. I don't know.
Coach Bevers says look out for the Shark.
Coach Bevers, he started it, but I'm not sure where it came from. I wish somebody would tell me one of these days. Maybe when I'm about to graduate or something.
The Sparkmans, Ben, Bill, and David, carry on a tradition of service to Dallas families spanning almost a century. And the funeral home bearing their name continues to build its reputation based on compassion, dedication, and professionalism. At Sparkman Hillcrest, you'll find complete services at one location. As you enter the Sparkman Hillcrest grounds, you'll recognize one of Dallas' most historic landmarks, the Hillcrest Mausoleum. Along with private family rooms, a new wing has been opened reflecting the same detail to quality material and craftsmanship found throughout, from the imported Italian marble to the beautifully detailed stained glass windows and mosaic murals. Or drive through the tree-lined Memorial Park, meticulously maintained year-round regardless of the season. The funeral home itself reflects the dignity people have come to associate with Sparkman Hillcrest. Sparkman Hillcrest, truly a Dallas tradition.
When you live in the Park Cities, you come to expect the best of everything. You expect the best schools, the best shops, the best cars, the best houses. And you come to expect the best realtors. Call Abio and Adelita, because we're the best that you would expect Park Cities to offer.
That's our show for this week. We trust that Frank Bevers will get well and be back with us next week. Next week here at Highlander Stadium, it will be the Mesquite Skeeters and the Highland Park Scots going for the early district lead and eventually, hopefully, leading up to a championship. That's our time for this week. We certainly thank you for yours.
The Frank Bevers Show, a weekly look at the activities and game highlights of the Highland Park Scots, with head coach Frank Bevers and Eddie Clinton. Brought to you by Abio Adelita Realtors, Lincoln Property, Sparkman Hillcrest.
This is
ranked #1 and